programs like this. I mean, would you like information on any of those? Now, what do you think happens if they say, yeah, how much money can we get to move? Okay? See, now you might say, why? Are you thinking have you decided you're ready to move on? Now I can have a conversation about when and how that looks, what do you need, what are your goals and stuff like that. We get into this in a really advanced way once we get going. So this is the Keep Your Home California stuff here. Okay? Now, Keep Your Home what we did is for Keep Your Home California, and I think all the other states, I know Arizona is defunct, Nevada is defunct, you don't have these programs anymore, but there's only a handful of you. But we created each of these 4 programs has their own booklet too. Okay? So there are four detailed multi-page flyers that go in here as well. And then if they might qualify for one, I say I have the detailed unemployment, I have the detailed mortgage assistance, I got the detailed transition. When we meet next, okay, I'll bring that stuff for you, and we can sit down and review and maybe even begin the process of completing the application. Here's the problem with Keep Your Home California. Most of the time we're talking to somebody, they're getting foreclosed on within 30 days, true or false? Okay? Application process takes 45 to 90 days. Okay? So we say, I said the problem with these forms is they take 45 to 90 days. So step 1 is going to be to figure out how to postpone your foreclosure sale. Okay? So we're going to focus on that first. And then that'll buy us the time so that we can maybe take advantage of some of these strategies that will ultimately allow you to keep your home. Then we can talk about strategies about foreclosure. Now, for one of you guys, for those of you that are thinking that you can never remember or say all this, well, how many of you have ever gotten me on the phone with one of your clients and let me just have this conversation with them and got the deal done for you? Okay? So that's what I'll do. So you get me on the phone, we'll talk a little bit, and I said, and I'll sometimes I'll start to say, well, just tell them this, what seems second nature to me, say this, say this, say this, say this, and I said, why don't we just get them on the phone and I'll just talk to them. Sometimes we have to set an appointment, sometimes we get on the phone, and I go ahead and get the listing for you. Okay? So we'll do that, and sometimes people even come into my office. The other things that I'll be talking to them, send me their loan modification app, and then I'll redo it and send it back to them and say, submit it with these numbers instead. And sometimes get on the phone and explain to the seller why they're doing it. Now, guess what? Every time they hear from the bank, guess who they want to talk to? Me and you. Okay? Because if we can get them in that loop, we're going to be okay.
How much are you charging for that service?
Nothing. I charge nothing. We charge nothing. I practice what I preach. Okay? I will help you help anybody who is trying to avoid foreclosure.
What is your success rate for loan mod?
Same as everybody else's, 4%. 15% trial, 4% permanent. Almost everybody gets to the end of the line. So the loan mod is really only buying them more time. Very few people are getting loan mods. I mean, when we get a loan mod, you know what else we get? A testimonial, which goes in our package of other people that we've helped. Okay, it goes on our webpage. It goes, So they thank you. How can I thank you? I said, well, I told you it's free, but you know what you could do? When you don't charge them, they want to leave. I said, the best thing you can do is write me something lovely that I can show to other people, because just like you had a little skepticism at the beginning, people have skepticism. I'd love to be able to tell them your story and to encourage them to let us help them too. And they'll write you something incredible if you ask them to. All right, how many of you are getting testimonials from people you get loan mods for? Okay? So this is the mass joiner lawsuits. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story about a new listing we got from a tag. We got it just a few days ago, actually. 2 years old, by the way. We tagged the house 2 years ago. 2 years ago, hasn't made a payment at that time. In 3 years, it's 5 years, haven't made a payment. But they're at the end of the road. April 24th or 6th, they have a foreclosure date. So they called us because of our direct marketing campaign. So for advocate marketing, since you have access to it, we created this 21 email campaign, follow-up campaign that we send one email a week, and it's a chapter on avoiding foreclosure. So chapter 1, chapter 2, and every week, and we sent, by the second one, he wrote a very long email. I called him, and I sat in a meeting, and we listed his house for sale. Okay? Then he was in my office the other day, wanted to make one more appeal to try to get his loan mod. But here's the problem. Let me tell you the problem. So we did it. We did the appeal. He won't get it, but I wrote it out and said send it in, and we postponed photos and everything for a week to allow him to go through that process. Appeals only take 2 or 3 days to get turned down. Okay, so we did it, sent it in, 2 or 3 days, it'll be over and go from here. But here's the problem. The reason that it took 2 years is that he was engaged with a lawyer. He was paying a lawyer $1,700 a month. Okay? So he's paying, this is a mass joinder lawsuit, he was paying a lawyer $1,700 a month to keep him out of foreclosure. Well, everything the lawyers do, we can do to keep them out of foreclosure too, by the way, just so you know. For free. All right? So the lawyer did this. Now, the bank had given them a loan mod many years ago. Then somebody told them. Then the bank called and said, we want to give you even better loan modification. I don't know if that's true or not, but somehow or another they ended up not making payments again, and they got 3 payments behind. And by the time they realized, and then their loan mod got turned down, and they couldn't make up their past due payments. Like Lee was saying early on, you missed 3, you probably don't make any more. Because once the bank stops taking partial payments from you, you got to write the big check, okay, to get caught up. And a lot of people aren't in a position to write the big check. Okay, I wasn't. Okay, when I got to that. And the truth of the matter is that I've worked with countless people who are years behind in their mortgage, have depleted their 401k, have spent their kids' college funds, have maxed out their credit card, have borrowed money from friends and family to save a house that they're ultimately going to lose anyway. Which is one of the reasons why I tell people, I look them in the eye and I say, listen, it appears to me that there's going to be very little you're going to be able to do to keep your house. And so I'm going to just tell you this once. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it. But if you're going to lose the house, for me, it's important that you lose it with money in the bank versus lose it with no money in the bank. Okay? So right now, these guys have what could be $200,000 in equity. So when I met with them, they said $200,000 in equity. And my first was, well, we need to get that out of the walls of your house before the bank does. Okay? Because if you don't, the bank is going to take it. Well, and I sat down with them. I said, I think you don't have $200,000 in equity. Even if we agree with your valuation, which is too high, okay, because all sellers' valuations are too high, I guess. So even if we agreed with your valuation is too high, it looks like this. Yeah, you owe this amount of money, plus all of the 5 years of arrearages and penalties and collection fees, which makes it a short sale any way you slice it.
They thought they had 200.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's incredible. But here's the problem. $67,000 they paid to the attorney. $67,000. The attorney sued them. The bank. And the bank came to the table because the bank made errors when they went through that new loan mod process. It was approved, it wasn't approved. I don't know all the legal jargon and all that stuff, but the bottom line is that the bank knew that they were guilty. This is how I know the bank knew that they were guilty. They went to mediation, and there's a lawyer that they paid $67,000 to. Okay? The lawyer that they paid $60,000 to got them to sign an indemnification agreement against the bank. In other words, to release them from any future claims. Okay? In exchange for $5,000 from the bank. And the bank would not give them a loan modification. The bank only agreed to review their application for a loan mod again, which they promptly declined. Okay? Here's the rub. The only people that ever win in a mass joinder lawsuit when the lawyers get involved, I don't know of a single lawyer who has prevailed against the bank on an individual basis like this. I don't know of a single, what do you call them, the big lawsuits? Class action. I don't know if there's a single class action lawsuit that's going on or ever prevailed against the banks related to foreclosure. The only people who ever enrich themselves are the lawyers. Think about that. If you're a lawyer okay? And you're going to these homeowners, and you can find 50 homeowners to give you $1,000 a month to keep them out of foreclosure. That's a pretty good business, right? Okay? So anyway, here's the rub. Sorry, I'm a little upset with the lawyer here. They had the money to make the arrears, but the lawyer said, don't pay me $1,700 a month and I'll get this, I'll get this, I'll get this, I'll get this. And all they had to do was make a handful of back payments, because she went to pay for the lawyer up front. She went and took about $40,000 out of her pension, her teacher's pension fund, in order to get it done. And all they had to do was just send the check to the bank and resume making their payments that they had. Even if they didn't like it, they would have saved themselves a lot of grief. It's cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay? And they're definitely positive they're going to lose their house, and they'll be lucky if they get $10,000 to leave now. Okay? That's my story about mass joinder lawsuits. Okay? So, here's what we do. So, for those of you that want to use these forms, and we set it up so that you can put your logo in here. You can use the Home Loan Advocates logo if you want to. You put all your information in it, and you can create your own package just like ours. So let's just talk about the first 90 seconds. This is the hardest part. I remember the first time I went to the door. I knocked on the door. Nobody answered, and I said, oh, God. I knocked on the door again. Nobody answered. I said, all right. And then I stepped back, and there was a little panel window, and I could see all the way through the house. There was a table full of people on the back patio by the pool, where you could see through the front door all the way back. And so the third time, I knocked a little softer, because I didn't want him to come through the door, because I was petrified. Now, would you think a guy like me, standing up with all this enthusiasm in front of you, would be afraid to have that conversation at the door? I was, okay? There's no. I remember going to my car, almost whimpering, okay, and calling Diana, okay, and Diana had to talk me off the ledge, so I'm like, I was scared. All right, how many of you know what I mean? All right, okay. All right. So I was a nervous wreck. And I later learned, because I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know how it was going to go. I mean, I might as well have been getting ready to propose, right? I mean, that's the kind of sweating I was doing. Okay? All right. So what Diana did for me, and what I'm going to do for you is, and because she should have already trained you and given, she just shared with me, helped me just get through the first paragraph or two. Okay? The first couple of, the first 90 seconds. And so what I learned is that if you just survive the first 90 seconds, you just hold your breath. I mean, you can almost hold your breath for 90 seconds, almost. If you could just get through the first 90 seconds, you're going to be fine. Okay? And I learned that if I could just stand at the door and I can engage with them, even if it's a little contentious, okay, within the first 90, if I can get to 90 seconds, everybody starts to relax, and we can generally have a conversation. How many of you feel me? Okay? True or false? True. So I can just get through the first 90 seconds, I'm going to do. So that's where I'm going to concentrate. Okay? So here's what we do. In the first 90 seconds, I tell them, hey, I'm here to make your delivery. Okay? Number two, I say, hey, I'm David. I'm with Home Loan Advocates or Keller Williams Real Estate or Help Yourself Full Service Realty, whatever you say. Or I say, I'm David. If you're an investor, and say I'm a homeowner advocate. As part of our public outreach, we work with a handful of homeowners at a time to help keep their house out of foreclosure. Okay, all the services that we provide. All the services we provide are free, and there's no cost or obligation whatsoever in order to help for us to help you keep your house out of foreclosure and save your house. According to my records, you have a foreclosure date coming up on April 24th. And I just wanted to make sure that you've gotten that taken care of. Okay, pretty simple, right? I just want to make sure that you've got it taken care of. Now, what do they always say? Yep. Yep, I got it all handled. Okay. All right. How many of you believe them? I'm not only do I not believe them, now I want to know, do they believe them? Do they believe what they're saying? Okay. So I explain, and so I explain what's in the package page by page, but only if they're saying just give me the